Hey there, this is Dr. Celaya. I'm here with Dr. Chris Gazarian, and he is one of the most amazing, high energy people in the dental field that I know. What great enthusiasm. Hey, welcome here, Dr. Chris.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
So, Chris, tell me about your story. You have a unique story, and one of the incredible things that I really love about you is that you're dying to go to work every day, which is pretty amazing in this day and age.
That is true. I love my practice. I love the opportunity to meet patients, to help them, to guide them in ways that they didn't expect, because traditional dentists don't think the way I do. And I'm not sure why. I think it's something. I was actually thinking about it, and I thought, when I was 18, I had a girlfriend who introduced me to healthy eating, and I thought, that's weird. Why should I eat healthy? Because I grew up on Doritos and Pepsi and pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then suddenly I had this person telling me I should eat soups and salads and be healthy. And somehow that stuck with me, and it almost became, after that point, instinctive for me. And I just started to move in that direction of pro-health instead of pro-traditional or pro-money-making dentistry, which just seems so common. So that's where I am today. For me, it's all about the health.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to eat Doritos for breakfast and pizza? I was talking to my wife about it the other day, and somebody asked me, they said, when was the last time you had pizza delivered to your house? Well, I've lived here probably over 20 years, and we've never had pizza delivered to the house. And so, it does make a difference. And at least with us, we can really feel a difference in how we feel and also our health concerns. And so I can understand your point of view. And so, being a young adult, you started to eat healthy. What made you think about getting into dentistry?
Well, that actually, the credit goes to my father. So my father was a dentist, and no matter how much my father told me, don't be a dentist, it made me actually want to be a dentist more. I guess that rebel inside of me said, well, if you're telling me not to do it, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to show you that I can do it. So I did it. And at the beginning, it was hard because I was working with him, and he had all this experience over me, and I was the newcomer just learning. But then I branched out and decided, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it on my own. And so now I have my own office. I have for over 10 years, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, well, so he practiced conventional dentistry, and obviously you went into the field with conventional dentistry, right?
I did. That's how I was trained. That's how I was taught conventional dentistry, doing amalgam fillings, doing root canals, doing all that stuff that I now know I should not have done, but at least now I know, so I'm guiding patients the right way. It took some education, but I think it was my instincts that guided me towards that knowledge, and finally I found it with your help, of course, because when I came to see you, because I wasn't feeling so good, you told me, why aren't you a holistic dentist? And I said, I am a holistic dentist. I just don't call myself a holistic dentist. So actually, let me learn more about that, and let me become an official holistic dentist. I guess really there's no such thing as official holistic, but I am now a member of an organization that I really respect, and I do call myself an official holistic dentist, and I'm very happy for that now.
That's great. And way back when, they didn't really have any type of education. Did they have education for holistic dentists when you were going to school? I mean, it is what it is. You become a dentist and then you kind of specialize. Am I right?
Pretty much. All dental schools are just conventional dental schools. They all teach about the same thing. And then it's up to you individually to decide where you want to take your career and what you want to learn after dental school. They teach you the basics, and then it's up to us.
Yeah, I think it's that way with just about anything, right? I mean, we're in the same field, and you have to get more education and more and more. And it's funny that the more you get, the more you realize you just don't know. And then, the education really never stops. So, so what is the difference between a holistic dentist, and I went to your website and it says biological dentist. Is there a difference?
Yes, that's a great question. So holistic dentistry, I think most people know what that means. It's considering whole body health. But sometimes holistic dentistry might use methods that aren't conventional, aren't maybe even American. They might be Eastern in origin. They might be, maybe this is not the right word, but a little bit voodoo, a little bit untested. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means they're not proven to be effective yet, at least not in America. There's no proof behind it. Things like kinesiology, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that it's working great, but I don't think there's really many American studies behind it. The difference between, so that's holistic dentistry. Biological dentistry actually means there has to be some proof behind it, some American study, some, maybe not American, but Western, European, American study showing that this is how it actually works. There's evidence. So the motto in biological dentistry is show me the proof. You can't just tell me something is bad or something is good, show me the proof. Whereas holistic dentistry is, yes, we are still with the same frame of mind of we want to consider whole body health, but let's try some different things.
Yeah, well, I like that. I mean, it's a nice combination, and you have enough knowledge, you can offer the patient different ways to do it. I mean, when I was a kid, yeah, my mouth was filled with amalgams, and the beauty about amalgams is they work, right? They're simple to install. I imagine way back when I was a kid, I'm thinking, okay, they're mixing up this metal type of thing, or I didn't know what it was, and they shove it in there and it just works. It stays, and it's like I'm looking at a dentist and I'm going, that's it? That's all there is to it? But little did I know, right? Like most people in today's day and age.
Yeah, in conventional dentistry, we're taught you mix the mercury with the different metals, which are silver and tin and copper, and it stabilizes and forms a hard mixture, and that's it. It just sits there forever. But science actually shows that's not true. The mercury that's in there, and it actually is more than 50% mercury. So it should be called a mercury filling. It shouldn't be called silver. They call it silver because it's colored silver. It does have some silver in it, but it's actually more mercury than silver. So we should really call it by its primary ingredient, which is mercury, a mercury filling. Science shows that it vaporizes mercury constantly, even unstimulated, even just sitting at body temperature. There's mercury vapors coming off of that thing, and of course, if you stimulate it, it's much more. If you brush it, or if you eat, or put something warm on it, you get much more exposure. So the vapors that are coming out of that filling are being inhaled, unfortunately, and studies show that 80% of that goes straight through the lung tissue, and you have elemental mercury in your blood, and then it goes around to your intestines, it gets methylated, it goes into your brain because elemental mercury can cross straight through your blood-brain barrier, and you can imagine what happens after that.
It's pretty amazing to me that, people haven't put two and two together. I mean, still to this day and age, it's like if you're working with mercury and you happen to drop it on the floor, theoretically, right, you're supposed to call a hazmat team in to come pick it up. Right. But on the other hand, they can mix it and put it in your mouth and it's supposed to be okay. I'm not quite sure I understand that logic, other than, I imagine it would be kind of hard for the Dental Association to admit wrongdoing because now they open up a whole bunch of lawsuits. But times change, right? I mean, they may not have known that information way back when, or at least when I had dental fillings, maybe, beats me if they knew about the toxicities of mercury, because when I was a kid, we used to play with that stuff. I don't know if you ever used to play with mercury.
Yeah, I think I've touched it once or twice.
Oh, we not only touched it, we had a lot of it, and we played with it. And there was a lot of our days associated with mercury, messing around with mercury. But now, obviously, we're understanding what it can do, and it's a huge health ramification. I'm dealing with metal toxicity all the time. And, people that have had it have to think about what type of health problems they have, and are there answers for their health problems? And if they're not, we have to really consider metal toxicity.
That's very true. And it's come to a point now where I can tell a patient has mercury fillings in their mouth just by their behavior. I'm now attuned to being able to detect the behavioral changes that mercury fillings make. It's very strange. It's hard to describe. And other colleagues I've talked to say, that's a little weird, that's crazy. But for me, I look at a patient and I know that there's mercury fillings in there. And then I look at the x-rays and I'm like, there you go, there they are. I can see it.
Yeah, well, I would think that you would know probably better than anybody else because you're in that front line. So once you found out, tell me about what you've done. How do you become a biological or holistic dentist?
So the organization that I was referring to earlier is called the IAOMT. They are they're growing. They're, I think, around 2,000 members now. It's small, of course, compared to the ADA, but it's bigger than some other organizations. So I'm a member, and they have a very rigorous, strict protocol of how to remove silver fillings safely. So a bunch of safety protocols: gas masks, oxygen for the patient, covering their hair, covering their body, putting in a rubber dam that's made out of nitrile so that it's not permeable to mercury vapors. So a lot of precautions. A big vacuum that removes particulates, a vacuum that's about this big that comes up right against your mouth. We're doing everything we can to make sure no mercury particles escape, go down the patient's throat, go onto their clothes, go onto their hair. We don't want them taking mercury particles home with them and exposing their kids. So it's called the SMART protocol, which I think is kind of cute. The SMART stands for Safe Mercury Amalgam Removal Technique. It's put up by the IAOMT, and I think it's critical not only for the patient safety, but for my safety. I've done mercury testing with you, and you found out that I am mercury toxic. I don't want my assistants getting poisoned, of course. There's actually a study that shows dental assistants have higher infertility compared to other peers. So I'm careful with that stuff now, very careful. And I didn't used to be, and I really regret that, but that's what I was taught. And I'm a little bit angry about that's what they teach, but that's where we are now.
It's very interesting. You wouldn't think, or, a patient may not think, gee, you know what? My dentist is not only concerned for my health, but I have to make sure that my dentist is going to be healthy as well, because they're being exposed, for a certain amount of, I guess, pretty consistent time, but only a certain amount of mercury exposure, while you and your staff are being exposed to a huge amount, not just one, but everybody that walks through that door that you have to extract a mercury filling.
Exactly. Without controlling the air in that room, the next patient that comes in that room could get poisoned too. So we have a mercury air filter in addition to all the other precautions to make sure that room is clean. And then, of course, we have mercury absorbent cloths that we clean up the whole room, the chairs, the countertops, everything in that room is clean from a new point of view of, let's get not only the germs out, of course, but let's get the mercury particles out. That's actually sometimes more important.
Wow. That sounds fantastic. What a benefit to your patients. And I'm sure this had to be expensive for you to try and accomplish all this, right?
It cost a little bit, but it's certainly worth it.
I mean, it's worth it to the point where, could you have continued to practice normal dentistry with the way it was going for you?
You know what? I got to a point where I realized I was mercury toxic. My energy was down. My thyroid was not very happy. My adrenals were compromised. I was getting really tired. And I thought, wow, how do dentists go all the way to age 70 if they're this tired in their 40s? And then finally I realized, no, it's not supposed to be like that. So let's take care of it and let's move on the right way.
Yeah, and maybe so. You're not a guy with low energy. I mean, you're there, and you have a lot going on. I mean, you're just so enthusiastic, which I just love. And it's not common to find somebody in your industry that's been doing it as long as you have, and still have that enthusiasm to want to go to work and want to help people. And I just love that. And why wouldn't anybody want to see somebody that has that mojo for life and for helping people?
Well, thank you. There's something that really interests me, and for some reason I get really rewarded by being able to help people. And I know that sounds a little cliche. Any doctor might say, I want to be a doctor to help people. But for me, it's the most rewarding thing day to day is to be able to guide people in the right directions. I really, really, really love that.
Yeah, and people say it, but you mean it, and I know that you mean it. Right? I mean, we've talked, and it's a whole different story. So, tell me about your office, your location, and everything like that, and maybe even your website.
My office, I call it Studio Dental Arts. I haven't added holistic to the name yet. I'm thinking about it, but Studio Dental Arts is how it was formed and developed. So I'm happy with that name for now. We're in Studio City. In Studio City, there are a lot of people that are very health conscious, so I'm happy with that. they're coming to me, they're asking me to remove their silver fillings safely. They already know about these protocols and procedures because they come pre-educated, which I love. It saves me time. My office is carpet-free now. It's fabric-free because I know carpets and fabrics absorb mercury vapors too. So I've spent a lot of money changing my floors, changing everything, making sure my office is completely mercury-free. For me, it's a happy place. I love my patients. I love my staff. I love going there. The way it's all set up to me, it's just, I love it. And I think patients love it too. When they come in, they say, wow, I love this place. I feel so comfortable here. So that makes me happy too.
You know, it's interesting. I've been to different biological dentist's office, and I've never really thought about the carpet or the fabric free. That's a very interesting take. And I mean, to know that you've gone that much above and beyond, right? Where I've never heard of the carpet free. I mean, I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
So does everybody come to you for biological dentistry, or do normal people that don't even know about it come in and they're able to take advantage of being biological?
normal people.
Yeah.
There are people who don't know anything about holistic dentistry that come in, of course, and I guide them and I educate them and make them understand what the poisons are in their mouth. I had a patient recently that she had gum disease, and we treated it, but then she came back a year later. Her gum disease was worse, and I thought, there's something wrong here. She's doing the right thing. She's flossing, she's brushing, but something's wrong with her. And I guided her a little bit in the avenues where I learned from you about vitamin D, about thyroid, and I'm actually going to refer her to you so she can come and get official help from you. But just by doing a few little things that I've told her to do, she suddenly feels so much better. Her teeth were actually loose, and within a month now they're not loose anymore. She says that her focus is better, her energy is better, she's able to think. She's very happy. So even patients that don't have the education really benefit a lot from coming to my office.
Wow. So you not only do the dentistry portion of it, but you're looking out for their true health.
Yeah, thanks to you, I learned how to do that a little bit, and I learned how important that really is. And I'm doing that now in a more official capacity than I ever did before. And in the past, of course, we always do diet recommendations. I've helped a lot of people with diet, but as far as more specifics about thyroid, about adrenals, I was not always educated on those topics. So I deferred to you, to naturopathic doctors, functional doctors. Now I can guide them a little bit, and I can educate them in a way that motivates them to really understand the importance, so that they would want to come to you and get everything done the right way.
Well, that's pretty amazing, and thank you for the referrals. I've never heard of a dentist making mention to patients to go down that path, or even try to help them themselves, right? Like that patient you were mentioning. I mean, my goodness, what a huge benefit she had by walking in your door. Pretty amazing. Well, Dr. Chris, I think maybe if we want to continue, we should have some other conversations a little bit more in depth and detail about mercury and natural health and natural dentistry. And that'd be great. By the way, your office is in Studio City, California, and I do think that you are worth traveling for. So anyway, it was great to have you on, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks for this opportunity.
All right, my friend. I think we still had some microphone problems, but it seemed to work out great. So thanks so much, and we will talk to everybody later. Take care.
Thank you very much.